Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Ringside Warriors. I am your host, Chris, and we are back again with week 5 and Royal Rumble 2024. So, this is being recorded and uploaded on Monday. As we speak, Raw is happening, and I'm already seeing things coming in, and I'm excited to talk about all of that in the next episode. However, this episode is going to be very dedicated to the Royal Rumble. But of course, as always, we're going to go through Raw, NXT, and SmackDown leading up to the Royal Rumble, where a lot was talked about. However, I do want to start this show off talking about the latest developments with the Vince McMahon issue. And as a matter of fact, one thing that it doesn't surprise me. However, at the same time, I was hoping we get more. Usually after a pay-per-view, there is a press conference that the winners have, the champions have, and then, of course, Triple H has, where he's talking, from development. And I did happen to watch Triple H's time during the conference, and 95% of the questions were all about the Vince McMahon issue. For those of you that don't know, I'm sure all of you know by now, there are allegations that Vince McMahon was trafficking one of his female employees around the WWE locker, as well as controlling her and using her for himself as well. I think it's appalling. I'm not surprised because this is Vince McMahon, and there have been many claims in the past about stuff like this, so I'm not really surprised. However, because of all that's been going on, Slim Jim ended up pulling out of the sponsorships or sponsors for WWE and for Royal Rumble, and soon after, Vince McMahon completely stepped down from the board. He stepped away from WWE completely. He is no longer in any capacity involved with any of the backstage, any of what's going on in the company. Obviously, he makes his cut because it is, he still owns shares in his company. However, he has no involvement anymore with WWE, and Slim Jim came back in at the very last moment for Royal Rumble 2024, which I'm happy about. I don't know how to even say it. Usually I say the Royal Rumble, but now I see a lot of people are calling it Royal Rumble 2024. So I'm going to call it the Royal Rumble because it feels weird calling it Royal Rumble 2024. So Slim Jim came back into the Royal Rumble as a sponsor. As far as my position when it comes to Vince, I'm not surprised that all these allegations are now coming out. There was an NDA that was signed. However, apparently the NDA was broken somehow on Vince McMahon's front. So this person came out. Other people are coming out. I know that allegations once again for John Laurinaitis are there, and now even Brock Lesnar is a name that's being thrown around as one of the people that have been with Vince. I'm glad that Vince has officially stepped down from WWE. I really don't think he needs to be involved in the company anymore, not just from a creative standpoint, but for safety reasons. Do I believe what this woman's saying 100%? I believe there's always his story, her story, and then the truth. However, I don't think that her story is far from the truth, if that makes sense. So I am glad that Vince McMahon is gone. However, I know that I don't want to say the WWE fan base because, again, Twitter is not 100% the WWE fan base, or X, whatever you want to call it now. Twitter is a percentage of the fan base, the vocal ones. And again, as I've said many times, when it comes to X or Twitter, that is a very toxic place at times. And yes, of course, a million people after the Triple H interview where he kind of didn't want to talk about the issue, the situation. He wanted to talk about the Rumble. He didn't want to focus on what happened with Vince. Vince is gone. He was trying to move forward. Again, he is representing the development. Obviously, he was told what to and not to say. Do I think he could have said it a little bit better? Yes. However, Cody Rhodes, who is not part of developmental, he is just a superstar. I think Cody Rhodes said it best during his interview time during the conference. But they still wanted to ask Triple H anyway, obviously, because he's the son-in-law of Vince McMahon. It's understandable. And of course, everyone's jumping on his back because he's married into the Vince McMahon family, because he's, with Stephanie, that everybody's saying that he should be released as well, that he was somehow involved. where there is no proof that he was involved. And you could sit there and say, I'm being naive. You can sit there and say, I have not seen any allegations in this case that go towards Triple H as of yet. If there is a development, then obviously those who are involved should be held accountable. Everyone, no matter who they are. However, Triple H was not one of the people named. I don't think Triple H really got involved in a lot of what Vince was doing because he knew what Vince was doing was wrong. And I don't want to hear about how him and Stephanie McMahon were the ones that pushed after Vince stepped down to get him. They voted to bring him back in. I don't want to hear about that because you know what? They were also the ones that wanted to take over and let him retire a long time ago. Why they brought him back in, I don't know. The NDA thing, again, I wasn't watching wrestling at this time anyway. So I don't know the full story, and I'm not going to even sit here and pretend to all of you that I do know the full story. However, what I do know is Triple H has been doing an excellent job in developmental. We now have The Rock, who has joined developmental. Again, the Netflix deal, we'll see how that goes. I'm still on the fence about how good or bad it will be for the company. Obviously, I'm going to be getting Netflix to continue to watch Raw. However, as far as the Vince McMahon thing is concerned, I am going to be keeping an eye on it. I would love to see justice done if, in fact, all the allegations that she is saying about Vince McMahon is true. However, I'm here to focus on the wrestling and, of course, all the news that is surrounding it. Not sad that Vince is gone, but again, I wish that the Twitter fans or X fans would leave Triple H alone and let the man do his job. He's doing an excellent job. He's focused on the wrestlers. Do I think one thing I will say though, when he was asked about the safety of the wrestlers now, his chance to expand and really prove that the wrestlers are safe now, he could have gone a little bit more in depth than saying everything is being taken care, like everything, we're doing everything in our power. I think he could have expanded or stretched that out a little bit. But again, TKO now owns a very huge share of WWE. And I'm sure that with this company owning WWE, that the wrestlers, the female, male, and all staff are pretty well protected. And I don't see Triple H doing what Vince was doing. However, can I be wrong? Absolutely. I don't know the man personally. But we'll see what develops when it comes to Vince McMahon. And obviously with Brock Lesnar being name dropped, and I mean, it was heavily insinuated. You knew who it was. It did impact the Royal Rumble, and I'll get into that. I'll talk about that when we get to that. But let's get off the news. We're going to, I don't want to say we're going to go steamroll through Raw, SmackDown, and NXT to get to the pay-per-view. However, I am going to be moving at a bit of a faster pace. So when we get into the Rumble, I could talk about it a bit more. So Seth Rollins opened up Raw last week. Gunther interrupted and said that he is definitely going after Seth for the belt if he wins the Royal Rumble. Of course, Seth came out and said that his future right now is uncertain. He needs to go for at least one operation, and that could keep him out for 3 to 4 months, which means past WrestleMania. So I'm hoping that somehow he's able to have a speedy recovery and at least by WrestleMania be able to defend his belt. Obviously, he did not surrender the belt, so they're leaving the belt on Seth for now. I'm very happy about that. I didn't want to see Seth go out like that. It just sucks that this is, I think, the second time in a row where Seth is poised for, WrestleMania as the champion, and I don't want to see him have to give up the belt again or not be able to perform again at a major event. Then we had the New Day versus Imperium. It was a no contest because they went outside the ring and the brawl just did not stop. New Day is wanting it. You could see that Kofi and Xavier Woods really they're thirsty for gold this year again. They're trying to revitalize the New Day after segment afterwards backstage. They're saying that people think the New Day are a joke. We were the 10-time, I believe they were 10-time world champions. They're going to be going for their tag. They want to go for their tag champions again. They want to prove that they're still one of the most dominant tag teams. Agreed. Hopefully we'll get to see that. However, Kofi makes a challenge towards Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship, and that is actually happening on the Monday Night Raw tonight. So I'm looking forward to talking about that next episode. Nia Jax had another segment. Becky came out and interrupted. Bayley came out and interrupted. Everybody was talking about how they're going to win the Royal Rumble. And it was heated. It definitely was heated. We had Dominic Mysterio versus The Miz. Dominic won. Miz ended up getting attacked by Finn Balor, and the interruption allowed for Dominic to win. We also had the Judgment Day jumped on Miz afterwards. DIY came in to help the Miz. I feel like that this is starting to develop something else, which I'll talk more in depth about next week because of the developments that are happening right now on Raw. But then we had a Cody Rhodes segment. Of course, we did right before the Rumble. CM Punk came out, and they had a really heated back and forth. Cody Rhodes saying that he's more CM Punk than CM Punk. CM Punk saying he'll go right through Cody in order to win the Royal Rumble and main event for the first time ever WrestleMania. And it was a nose-to-nose standoff. And wow. You could feel the I would love to see a CM Punk Cody Rhodes fight at some point. It would be awesome. And then we had the main event, which was Damian Priest versus Drew McIntyre, with Drew McIntyre winning because R-Truth could not keep his nose out of Judgment Day's business. I mean, throughout the entire night, R-Truth still with the money and everything. He came in to give Damian Priest his share. At first, he got the ref to look away long enough for Damian to get his finisher off. However, he kept the referee distracted enough that he wasn't able to get the pinfall on that. And then, of course, Drew McIntyre came back with the upper hand and beat Damian Priest, which will lead into the start, I believe, of R-Truth being ousted completely from the Judgment Day, because now it's starting to affect the main people. At first, it was just Dominic and JD. Now it is affecting everyone. And the tag titles are on the line tonight. So, yeah. Or on the line next WWE Raw. So good setup for Raw towards the Royal Rumble. NXT, however, is setting up. We're going into NXT now. They're setting up for their pay-per-view. So a lot of people here are not talking about the Royal Rumble. So this was kind of like that one-off where I'm watching wrestling and they're talking about a pay-per-view that is not the Royal Rumble. However, some of them did show up for the Royal Rumble, which was really cool. Anyway, opened up with the Dusty Road, the tag team, tournament. Braun Breaker. I always want to say Baker. Braun Breaker and Baron Corbin defeat Axiom and Nathan Frazier. It was a really good match. Again, I'm telling you guys, Braun Breaker and Baron Corbin are that tag team that do not mix at all. They're like oil and water. However, they're going to be one of the dominant tag teams for a while in NXT, possibly. We got to see William Regal. He came back for a brief moment, kind of passing the torch to The Rock's daughter, which I really liked a lot. But I do like that William Regal was back in WWE after leaving AEW. Now, did he come back before that? Possibly. I don't know. But it was really nice to see William Regal for that short moment again. We then were going to have a match with Dijak, but JC ended up interrupting and started beating the crap out of Dijak. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed something first. We had the Lash Legend, which is part of Metaphor, who beat the debuting Ren Sinclair. It was really nice debut. She had a friend come out because the Metaphor started to beat up on her, and the person, I forgot who came out for her now, was already a week ago, but looks like we're setting up for a tag match there. Then we had Dijak getting interrupted. We had a very short match. Lexis King versus Trey Bearhill. Lexis King took out Bearhill right away. I was surprised how quick the match was. Then we had a Trick Carmelo segment, which again, you could see that the tension between Trick and Carmelo, either one. I think that when James said 2 episodes ago that Trick could be the one that turns on Carmelo, it's starting to feel like that very much can be the case, might be the case. We're going to have to wait and see, but it's starting to feel that way. We then had a Supernova session, which is basically like the Kevin Owens show, I guess, where Lola Vice was being interviewed. She was talking about how Elektra Lopez was riding on her coattails, yada, yada. Elektra Lopez came out. They started fighting. Obviously, this is a future match, possibly for Revengeance Day. We then had Scripps versus Dragon Lee. Dragon Lee won. And, of course, Oba said that he is going to let Dragon Lee challenge for the belt at Vengeance Day, or Revengeance Day. So we're going to be seeing that match. I'm really excited for that. Blair Davenport versus Carmen Petrovic. Blair Davenport won. She did an excellent job. Really enjoyed that. We had a Ridge Holland segment talking about what happened last week, where he was brutally attacked and he's looking for revenge against, oh God, I had the name, and then Gallus, looking for revenge against Gallus. We had the Josh Briggs versus Trick Williams main event. Ilya Dragunov, the current champion, sat and watched on. It was one hell of a match. Carmelo came out to help. I forgot, there were a bunch of interruptions, but Ilya ended up getting knocked down a couple of times, interrupting the match. However, Trick was able to pull off the win, and of course, Josh Briggs was not happy about losing, ended up doing a cheap shot before walking out of the ring. And then the night actually concluded not with a match, but with a contract signing for the women's championship match. Roxanne Perez versus Lyra Valkyria at Revengeance Day. Apparently, and this I didn't know until watching that night, Roxanne ended up having to give up the belt because of an injury, so she never actually lost the belt. So she is going back for her belt. I'm going to be really looking forward to seeing that match. But that was it for NXT. NXT, again, I'm looking forward to Revengeance Day. I don't know when it is. I keep forgetting the date. They kept saying it. I mean, it was advertised all night. I'm sure this week I will pay more attention so I know when it's happening. But I hope it didn't already happen, but I think I would have known. But looking forward to their pay-per-view. But now we're going into SmackDown with one of the main events being on SmackDown. We had... let's see. We had, I forgot the guy's name, Eladio Carrion, where he was talking with Randy Orton. AJ came out to interrupt. LA Knight came out to interrupt. And you could see the tension between those three really growing. And this is only a couple of nights from the pay-per-view. LA Knight has a match later on in the night against Solo. He's the only one out of the three fighting before the Royal Rumble. And things between the three of them, it's definitely... everyone is in for getting the belt, so everyone's fighting for one another, for themselves to win. We had Carlito versus Santos Escobar, with Santos Escobar, of course, winning. Elektra Lopez ended up coming out from NXT, joining Escobar's Santos Escobar's group. So their group is now almost equal to LWO. We're going to probably end up getting a faction versus faction fight at some point, and I'm looking forward to that. The Kabuki Warriors versus Kaden Carter and Katana Chance for the WWE SmackDown Women's Tag Championship was a really great match. I love the Kabuki Warriors. They did a really great job. And as great as Carter and Chance were, unfortunately, they lose. And the Kabuki Warriors are now the new tag team champions, which means Bayley is the only one in Damage Control without gold now. Remember that. Then we had the Almighty segment where they were challenging the Final Testament. The Final Testament ends up beating up on them. We'll see. This is obviously going to be happening in the future. I mean, do I really have to say? I mean, it's been developing for a while now, so I'm looking forward to whenever that does happen. And then we had Austin Theory once again fighting Carmelo Hayes to make up for the both getting the no contest from the previous week. Carmelo ends up losing to Austin, of course, due to Austin cheating. And, of course, him and his friend were beaten up on Carmelo. Trick Williams comes out to help Carmelo. However, he says he only helped him because they have a tag match and he needs his friend to be at 100% so they can win the tournament. So it wasn't exactly, hey, I came out to save you, fist bump. It was, hey, I came out to save you. I need you to be okay for the paper, for when we do the tag championship. So it's leaning towards Trick Williams being the one to actually turn on Carmelo. And then we had the last match of the night, which was LA Knight versus Solo. It was a no contest thanks to AJ Styles interrupting. And then a bunch of other people came in. It was one hell of a mess. And it ends with everyone out except for LA Knight, who is the last man standing because Randy Orton comes out. They take everyone out. Everyone's taken out by the end of the night. And you just see LA Knight just the last man kind of standing, teasing, will he be the one that wins the Royal Rumble? Speaking of, Now we go into the main event of this episode, and that is Royal Rumble 2024, or just the Royal Rumble for 2024. There were 4 matches: the women's Royal Rumble, the Fatal 4-Way, the Logan Paul Kevin Owens fight, and then the men's Royal Rumble. The women's Royal Rumble had a lot. We had Bayley, who came in at number 3. We had Naomi, who returned, and everybody was happy about that. She was the second one into the Royal Rumble. She had a really warm welcome back. Great to see her back. I remember her before I stopped watching WWE. Justine Grace, who is the TNA Women's Champion, made an appearance for the Women's Royal Rumble. R-Truth had, of course, his, it's R-Truth, so they had to do something funny with him. So he ended up showing up. He messed up. He was supposed to be in the later on Royal Rumble. He gets thrown out. Jade Cargill ended up debuting. If you watched AEW, you know who Jade Cargill is. Love seeing her there. And she made it all the way to the Final 4. And then Liv Morgan came in at number 30. She returned for the Women's Royal Rumble. Now, the fight itself was great. I love how Nia Jax ended up getting eliminated by Jade Cargill. I'm hoping that this starts a feud between the two of them. I think it would be really cool to see the two of them feud. It's nice to see Liv Morgan back. I've never seen her wrestle, so it'll be nice to see where we go. I like that we had the TNA Women's Champion show up for the Royal Rumble. It shows that there are definitely opportunities for TNA to cross over with WWE. The door, I hate to say it this way because Triple H doesn't like it, but it looks like the opportunity door is wide open. So hopefully as things develop further, WWE will open the doorway to other companies out there, especially with New Japan. New Japan has a lot of really awesome talent. It would be great to see some of the New Japan talent show up at WWE. I would say AEW, but I mean 90% of the AEW roster lately are people who have left WWE. Would I like to see the Young Bucks show up at WWE? Of course. If Kenny Omega recovers, would I like to see him show up at WWE? Absolutely. I'll tell you the truth. I was sitting at the edge of my seat hoping to see one of them show up at the Men's Royal Rumble, unfortunately. And we all know that that's really not going to happen, but could still be hopeful. Anyway, Bayley ends up winning. The number 3 contestant, like I said, she ended up winning the Battle Royale. Congrats to Bayley. It's her first ever Royal Rumble win. And now she's going off to challenge who? We don't know yet. I don't think she's going to challenge Rhea Ripley. It'd be funny if she did. I would think she was going to challenge the other women's champion, but I could be wrong. We'll find out. Then we had the Fatal 4-Way. Randy Orton, LA Knight, AJ Styles, and Roman Reigns. Now, with The Rock joining the board development, I had a feeling we were not going to be seeing a Roman Reigns Rock fight, at least not at WrestleMania. So going into this fight, I didn't go in with the thought process of, oh, it's a Fatal 4-Way, so basically Roman could lose without being pinned. The match was great. Everyone's had done their finisher at least once or twice. Honestly, the one part of the match that really just irked me the most was when Randy Orton was going to win, and Solo out of nowhere comes in and literally saves Roman. The hand was like this far from the mat for 3, and Solo came in. It was a no disqualification match, screwed Randy Orton, and of course Roman Reigns retained his belt. The ending sucked, but the match itself was spectacular. I hate that Roman's been holding on to this belt for way, in my opinion, too long, but maybe it's for WrestleMania for reasons that we'll get into at the end of the Royal Rumble. But the Logan Paul Kevin Owens match came next, the last match before the men's Royal Rumble. Logan Paul won. Thank you, Austin Theory, giving brass knuckles to Logan Paul, which then Kevin Owens took off of Logan Paul, but the ref caught Kevin Owens with the brass knuckles. So no matter how great, how high-flying, how brutal the match was, once again, the ending was spoiled by someone else. 2 great matches. The only 2 matches of the night, other than the Royal Rumbles, both had shitty endings, but both from the beginning to the middle were absolutely excellent. Why the need for Austin Theory? I don't like Austin Theory. For the love of God, he is my new freaking, MJF. But why we had to have such a shitty ending for both matches, which were really great, I don't know. Again, we're going into WrestleMania. That could be why. Maybe somebody else is going to challenge Logan Paul for the U.S. Championship and win. We'll have to wait and see. But then we got the main event, which is the men's Royal Rumble. And we have only a couple of, I feel like the women's Royal Rumble had a bit more as far as things that I, marked. But we had Andrade returning. Braun Breaker ended up showing up in place of Brock Lesnar. The rumors are that was Brock Lesnar's spot. And because of all the allegations with Vince McMahon, Braun Breaker was brought up to take Brock's place, to eliminate all the people Brock Lesnar was supposed to be eliminating, and to be eliminated by the person that was supposed to eliminate Brock Lesnar. Cool. Pat McAfee, there was a funny segment where Pat McAfee was one of the entrants. He didn't even get eliminated. He walked in, saw who was in the ring, and walked out. Waste of a spot, but I guess they didn't have a spot. And then Sami Zayn made his big return as the number 30 contestant. And man, oh man, he cleaned shop, and he wants Drew McIntyre hardcore, because Drew McIntyre is the reason why he was on the shelf for so long. Anyway, those are the bullet points. Let's talk about this. I love how the Royal Rumble started with the two Uso brothers, Jay, and it was excellent. I loved it because you have the redeemed one, and then you have the one that's still in the bloodline. So Jay and Jimmy, yeet, no yeet. And I loved it. And of course, Jimmy was the first one that was thrown over, because I guess the darker one, if you want to go with that. But I will say congrats to Jay. He stayed in. He was one of the longer lasting contestants in the Royal Rumble. It was amazing, the matchups we got. When we got down to the last four, we had McIntyre, Gunther, Cody Rhodes, and CM Punk. We obviously got rid of the big boys first, and then it came down to Cody Rhodes and CM Punk. And as CM Punk was about to put Cody to sleep, Cody got the upper hand and won the Royal Rumble, the 15th entrant. He was literally the middle man in the match. He was literally right at the halfway point. He came in, and Cody Rhodes, for the first time, as one of the few in a century to go back-to-back winning the Royal Rumble, Cody Rhodes won. And, of course, you had Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins watching on, because both of their rosters were there. And, of course, he points to Roman Reigns and says, "I'm coming for you." So, gee, I wonder who Cody Rhodes is going to challenge at WrestleMania. He's going back after, he's going back after Roman Reigns again. And will he finish his story this time? He's one step away, once again, to finishing his story. And I really, truly do hope that this time around, Cody Rhodes is able to finish his story. I'm going to be real honest. I really want to see Cody Rhodes win the Royal Rumble, the WrestleMania match. I feel like we've had Roman Reigns as a champion for far too long. My opinion, I know a lot of you out there do love Roman Reigns. There are a few people who buy the shirts, who have all the things, 1,000+ days, still one of the greats. What's his name? Paul Heyman recently said that he's the greatest of all time. I know we're going to be getting a Roman Reigns and Rock match at some point. They're still saying that's a possibility. We just don't know when. I'm thinking possibly SummerSlam, maybe Hell in a Cell. I'm trying to think of the bigger pay-per-views to figure out which one would be best, but I will say that more than likely Roman will not be champion when he faces The Rock. So whether he loses it at WrestleMania or loses it somewhere else, when Roman loses the belt is when we're going to be seeing The Rock versus Roman Reigns start to develop. One thing that I will say, though, is Cody Rhodes is on Raw. If he beats Roman Reigns, he will then become a SmackDown superstar. So it will be interesting, because that will take Cody away from CM Punk. I wonder if they will send Roman over to Raw then after he loses, because I don't know how it works anymore, where if one person from an opposite company comes over to challenge for the belt, who takes that person's place in the previous roster. I don't even know if there might be a draft still. I wouldn't know. I mean, pretty sure it could be. I mean, we've seen superstars jumping back and forth between, or jumping over brand to the other brand, Jay Uso being one. So Maybe there's a draft. Maybe there won't be a draft. Maybe people just hop and go as they please. I know NXT superstars are going to be coming up after WrestleMania, so we'll see who moves up. I'm hoping Trick Williams will definitely move up. But the Royal Rumble overall, the Royal Rumbles for men and women, excellent through and through. The surprises, the ups, the downs, both Rumbles were amazing. And again, congrats to Bayley and congrats to Cody. I look forward to seeing who Bayley challenges, and I'm looking forward to Roman versus Cody round 2 a year later. Now, the 2 matches in between. Cannot take away from the performances on both matches. Both matches were spectacular, brutal, hard-hitting. Everybody was spot on with their moves. The Fatal 4-Way was crazy with all 4 men. Definitely development for sure between AJ and LA Knight, possibly having a one-on-one match at some point. Same thing with Randy Orton. Maybe Randy will go after Solo because Solo screwed him. I would like that. I'd like to see Solo taken out, so at least Roman will have to stand on his own 2 damn feet for once. I loved it. I loved the match. What I didn't love about it was the shoddy ending where we get Roman once again winning. However, I'm a bit partial. I wanted to see a new WWE champion for Cody to face. But obviously, since Cody won the Royal Rumble, it made sense to leave the belt on Roman so that Cody could finish his story and get a round 2 with Roman. As far as the Kevin Owens and Logan Paul match, again, high-flying, action-packed, hard blows, everything. I mean, I can't say anything bad about either one. Kevin Owens was giving it 110%. Logan Paul was jumping and flying and flipping all over the place, doing an excellent job. Great job. However, it was ruined by the way the match ended, and that was Austin Theory bringing that stupid brass knuckle in and the match being basically a no contest because Kevin Owens was holding the brass knuckles. Didn't use them, was holding them. So the ref's like, no, you're holding them, you're out. So that was my only gripe, was that they literally disqualified him for holding brass knuckles, not even using them. I thought the ending was shoddy. The match was great. The ending was shitty. And that's it for this episode. I'm going to call it here. This way I can get this episode up and ready to go live. I'm finishing recording now. This will probably be live around like 10:30 p.m., like right as Raw is ending as well. So y'all can finish Raw and then come over and check out this episode. As always, links in the description below. Hopefully next week's episode will be the post-Royal Rumble. See what goes on Raw and SmackDown, as NXT also is gearing up for their pay-per-view. So, till then, everybody, take care, and I will see all of you really soon in the next video. Have a great night, everybody.